Hi everyone, it's Robin. Thanks for joining me again. This is the sixth video I have voiced over today, so I'm getting a little tongue-tied and I'm sorry. And I know I'm getting feedback from these headphones and I'm not sure what's wrong, so please just bear with me. If you hear it, it does go away. I'm not sure why it's happening, but either I deal with it until I can figure it out or I don't do voiceovers. So I have to pick my battles, so I'm doing the voiceovers. But this is using my April Scraptastic Kit, and this is a picture of Eric and I during our little picnic lunch in Napa. We were at the very first stop we made, which is Visitui Winery in St. Helena, California, and we had the best time ever, just the best time ever. And I think it was our favorite stop of the day. We enjoyed everywhere we were and everything we saw, but it was just something about that place. It's just so magical. And I took so many pictures, so you're going to see it quite a bit. I pulled out some papers and embellishments and such from the kit, including, well, most of these, I'm not going to use quite a bit of these. But I chose this as my background, and then I'm going to mount it on that hunter green cardstock. This is from Styleboard. And then I'm going to mount it on this hunter green cardstock. And I'm going to fussy cut those flowers out in the upper right corner. And I had done this for another previous layout. It was one I had done of myself, actually. And I just really liked this pattern paper. And I thought it would go well because they were roses just everywhere on the grounds here at this winery, and you don't see them in this picture, but you'll see it. We knew they were there, so it just reminded me of that. But Eric and I, I also wanted to mention I did use some, I took out some Project Life cards from the Becky Higgins travel collection that I got at Michael's, and there is one, there's a saying, it's that gold one right there that you see. It said, once you go someplace you've never been before. And I just really, really love that. And this was true for us. We had never, well, we've stopped through California, but we've never really been and did sightseeing or anything, especially as a couple. This first time we vacationed somewhere, just us for a significant amount of time. We did go up to Niagara Falls for a weekend 2 winters ago, and we had a blast. But Eric had been there before, and I hadn't, but this was somewhere neither one of us had ever been to, and we were in California for my cousin Jennifer's wedding, and this was the day everybody had said goodbye. Well, the day prior, everybody was said goodbye. We dropped some cousins off at the airport on our way. We just decided to take a couple more days because our flight wasn't for a couple days. We decided to go up to Napa. He did that more for me because I really do like wine and enjoy wine. He's a beer drinker, but he did it for me and then ended up having an amazing time himself, and he really did appreciate all the different wines and the work that goes into it, and seeing the vineyards and their cellars and all that stuff, and just the countryside itself was just beautiful, and everybody was so nice, and the food, of course, was fabulous. This was this particular vineyard, this was after we had done tasting. We had gone early. We got there I think they opened at 9:30. We got there by 10, and there were just a few other people in there besides us. And when you first walk in, this is going to be another video too because I took pictures of that, but there was a place, they sold all kinds of food, fresh cheeses, meats. I talked about it in the layout of our carpet picnic. But we had decided to get a light lunch. We weren't sure what we were going to do for dinner yet, and so we they made the sandwich for us, and it was just to die for good. And we bought a bottle of wine from the tasting that we both liked, and we just shared. We shared the sandwich, and we just had 1 cup of the wine because we were going to continue driving and doing tastings and stuff, so we didn't want to overdo it, but it was just the best ever, and the weather was just perfect. It was warm but not overly hot. I want to say it was low 80s, and apparently that was good for that area because a woman told us that within just the next week or so it was going to be super hot. So we went at a great time. I lost my train of thought. I hate it when that happens. But anyway, they had, you know, a huge area for picnic lunches. You could sit in the grass and eat. They had benches, they had chairs, they had picnic tables, and the view that we're seeing right now, looking at the bottle of wine behind it, is part of their vineyards. So, and there were rose bushes lining that fence there. It was a wooden slat fence, and so we just decided to eat outside under the tree in some shade. And when we drove back later to get the food for dinner, we decided we wanted to try some different things from the same place. We had gone back and the place was packed. It was packed. You could hardly move. So we're so thankful we did this one early in the day. I read about them in a travel winery book that I picked up in the office of the lodge that we stayed in. Motor lodge. Don't think we stayed in a grand lodge or anything, but it was it was just perfect. It went with our trip. Of course, I took pictures of it as well that I'm going to mention later. But just the whole feel of this trip was pretty awesome. And I just loved the trip so much. Not the drive back to San Francisco Airport the next day, though. Let me tell you, it's crazy traffic. Crazy. And we left early in the morning because we always leave early to allow time anyway for whatever, but we were not ready for the type of stop traffic. I'm talking, there was 11 lanes of traffic one way. I'd never been on, I mean, I'm from Tacoma, Washington. That's not, you know, I-5's pretty big, but this was crazy. And then all these lanes merged down to 5. And we were stop and go for well over an hour. And like I said, thank God we left early because we would never have made it. And apparently in California, it's legal for motorcyclists to ride in between lanes of traffic. I had never seen that before in my life. I'm texting my cousin Jen. I'm like, is this legal for, and she's like, yes, it is legal. So, yeah, that was a trip in itself. I'm like, these guys are crazy. And then we saw more and more. I'm like, they're going to kill somebody, or, you know, yeah, I just thought one guy did it and then everybody else was following suit because the traffic was so bad. She's like, no, that's an everyday thing. And I'm like, oh, wow. I don't know if I could get used to that. But anyway, we loved the area. We had such a great time. And I definitely want to go back and see some other things we didn't see the first time. I would still visit this winery hands down again. One of you had already mentioned to me that you guys they go there once a year on their anniversary to this particular winery as well, or they drive to Napa, but they've been to this particular winery. So it's so neat to hear of other people being same places you've been. You know, it's just kind of craziness. I don't know. But this layout really just kind of fell together. I'm really loving the cutout flowers here, and once I get them set, I cut the rest of it out. It's just putting them all down. I wanted to save you that as well. I do pop some up here and there. But I added those little rosebuds up there by that bottle of wine, which I really, really liked. And then I do use some flair from the kit as well. And that journaling tag says the best. And so that's where I'm going to do my journaling, obviously. And then the piece that I cut off top from that card that says once a year, go someplace you've never been before, I flipped it around and it was that old-timey postcard, which is above the picture of the wine bottle in our lunch. And it just looked postmarked. It looked like a postcard, and I had to use it. So it's so fun how you can cut things apart and cut them up and flip them over, and it looks like something completely, well, it is something completely different, but you got it from the same place, so it's kind of fun to reuse, and you feel like you're not wasting anything. But these Project Life cards, I don't do Project Life, but I really like these cards because if I'm not using them as layering pieces, I cut them up or I use half of them. I cut out words from them. I journal on them. I mean, they're really great. It was a great idea. That flare there is the flare in the kit that has the 2 flowers on it, the white and the green one. And then I do end up using, I want to say I end up using that black flare that says you. I put it away for now, I don't know. the background paper, I loved that soft circle element, and come to find out, it just kind of goes nicely now that I'm looking at it with the roses, the circle elements of that. But the bottom paper, I didn't want such a straight cut, so I've been doing this a lot lately. I've seen Sandra do it. She uses her T-square. Well, she just rips, but wait, does she use a roller and rip? I think she does. But I started doing that because it gives me a straight line, but it still gives me a rough edge, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Because when I try and rip freehand, and sometimes I do that because sometimes I like not knowing what kind of look I'm going to get, and it's more wonky and texture looking. But sometimes I just kind of want a straight line, but I want some dimension to the piece, so that's where the rough edges come in from the ripping, and I really like that a lot. The alphas there came from the kit, and those are the ones you have to search for, and it takes quite a while, so I saved you that too, having me search through a whole alphabet. But I saved the card because it shows you all of the letters you get in it. So as I use them, I mark them off, and there's capitals and there's lowercase. So I mark them off the card so I know how many letters I have of what size. This little piece says us, and I decided not to use it. It just kind of felt like it was throwing things off. It was the perfect shade of yellow, but I decided not to use it. Kind of a goldenrod yellow. And that little strip up on the right photo underneath the rosebuds, it was actually an arrow, and it says "This is beautiful." But the arrow was pointing off the page, so I just cut the arrowhead part off. And so it just looks like just a strip. I'm using these Recollection little sticky letters I got last week at Michael's. It's in a haul that I need to put together. I have a huge collective haul over this last month that I need to do. But they're see-through, and they're in black type, and there's different fonts of letters and thickness of the type. So I like that. So you can mix and match, or you can be matchy-matchy, but it was just a little bit. I didn't want just Napa. I was thinking I was going to put Napa 2014 in the same font as the Napa is, but it got to be too overwhelming. I didn't know what I was going to do with the page, so I felt that those large numbers would be just too much. So I'm just using these here, and so it's going to read Lunch in Napa, and then underneath I'm just going to continue with the same stickers here, and I'm going to write June 2014. So I want to document every part of this trip. I'm making an album for Eric and I, so that'll be very nice. Usually our vacations consist of going back to his home in upstate New York, which I love, get to see his parents, and he gets to work on the farm along with his dad, and, it kind of regrounds him, he says, and reminds him where he came from, and, he loves the hard work with his hands and such. But if we're not going there, we're going to ball tournaments. So very rarely do we have a vacation elsewhere than those two, doing those two things. So this was really special for us. And a few years back, a ball tournament actually took us to Disney World in Florida for Shelby, and we turned it obviously into a family vacation. So when we weren't doing ball, we just didn't even think about ball. We took the kids, we went to water parks, we went to Disney, and they were grown teens at this time. Rachel, the oldest, I think was 17, and it was so magical for them, and they just felt like little kids. And I don't care how old you are, when you go to Disney World or I guess Disneyland as well, you really do just feel like a kid, like everything's awesome and great. And there's that package. I wanted to show it to you. So anyway, I hope Eric and I can follow this suit and just every year go somewhere new. Money's tight. I'm not working. I'm in nursing school. Rachel's in college. Shelby's going to college. So hopefully I'll graduate in December and get my license. Praying. I make a big oops right there on that card. I was so upset with myself. I wasn't paying attention. The hose tip of that nozzle was curved, and I had it curved right into my page, and I was thinking of protecting the picture, but I wasn't thinking about the card, and I was so mad at myself. I'm like, you ding dong. And I didn't want to tear it up. I didn't have a second. Now, if I had a second one saying the same thing, yeah, I probably would have. But that saying meant a lot to me. It's something I want Eric and I to try and do, you know, go somewhere new every year. It doesn't have to be super far away, just something we've never done. And you know, we've been married for almost 23 years. So, um, you have to do for yourselves as well. And, invest in your marriage and your relationship. And so if it's feasible, I would like us to do something like that. But hopefully I'll be working soon and we can afford to do some more things. But here's a close-up. I use my Wink of Stella clear glitter just to give the roses some lovin'. See, I'm thumbs down. Boo, Robin. Bad Robin. But accidents happen, and it's scrapbooking, and it does not make me love the page any less. There's that beautiful that I took the arrow off. There's that yummy lunch. Lunch in Napa, June 2014. And yeah, I hoped you enjoyed watching this process video. I loved making this page. Eric really, really loved this page as well. And he loves that when I document things we've done together. It means a lot to him. But let me get some of these rendered so I can get them up to YouTube so you can enjoy them as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of your love and support. Click the like button if you like this to let YouTube know, and I will see you or talk to you on the next video. I'll talk to you later. Bye.